Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of our guide on the new bow sets. In the previous video we covered ice, thunder, and fire. Link in the top right if you're looking for those. In this video we'll be covering the water and the dragon bows. But first, intro.
Hello there, I'm Jinjinx.
And I'm Tuna. And we're
the Monster Hunter Math Guys. And this is pre-Iceborne Bow Meta Part 2, Water and Durgan builds. Now, as always with these videos, there are a few things I want to mention first. First off, all of the build cards we show in the video do have standard attack buffs as well as the best possible damage coating, so either power coating or close range coating depending on bow added to the builds. This is actually incredibly important for bow build comparisons because certain bows like the Kiar bows have higher raw damage but less elements, so they benefit more from stacking these different raw multipliers. Which means that in order to get an accurate comparison of how much better they are compared to other bows, you do have to add these different modifiers in. Secondly, I do want to start off with a quick disclaimer. All the builds, analysis, breakdowns, and everything we do on the channel are not meant to tell you how to play. Unless you are a speedrunner or otherwise care about max deeps, these are not the only way to play and we are not suggesting that. We are simply trying to give you factual information on the relative strengths of different builds and playstyles and to let you know what the highest DPS loadouts are for this game. If you're uncomfortable playing without health boost, sweet, fit in health boost. Play how you like and enjoy yourself, this is a video game after all. And finally, this bow meta set series is a series because there are a lot of builds due to variations between different constitution and stamina surge levels. If any of the stamina skills discussion confuses you when it comes to these builds, be sure to check out our bow stamina guide where we talk about it in depth. Link to that is in the top right and the description. So first up are the water bows. So for the water bows, the best is still the Kiar. This is actually a bit surprising considering they can't use power coatings, which only multiplies raw. And if you recall from our previous videos, the primary advantage of Kiar bows is higher EFR. However, the Kiar water is still the best even when you take into consideration the lower elemental damage.
Here we have the Constitution 3 version with 2 Stam Surge. If you want to have 3 Stam Surge, you can trade a crit boost echo for it. Again, a cheap trade-off, but arguably not worth it because the lower benefits Stam Surge 3 gives you over Stam Surge 2. Now, if you only want Surge 1, you can run this set instead.
This particular set on screen is the version that gives you the highest defense. Similar to the other Kiar weapons, there are simply a lot of variations of the different possible combinations to get the same skills.
And if you're allergic to Stamina Surge, you can sub out the deco for a 3rd level of crit boost. Personally, we think this is absolutely not worth it. Surge is very valuable for DPS uptime, but to each their own. This is an easier to achieve version of this set. Again, you can swap out the crit boost deco to run either Surge 0 and crit boost 3 or Surge 1 and crit boost 2. Surge 1 is a lot more valuable in our opinion, and is what most speedrunners will opt for, but the choice is there. If you opt to run Cons 1, you have some Surge level options as well. This Surge 2 set gets to run an extra level of crit boost and 3 more levels of attack boost, which translates to roughly 2 to 3 more damage per arrow with no Surge levels lost. If you want to run Surge 1, you can ditch 1 Surge deco for a crit boost for another roughly 1 damage per arrow at max charge.
On the other hand, running Surge 3 requires you to lose 2 levels of crit boost. Again, a lot of variants to this build, so this one is the highest defense possible option out of all of them. Now, while both the Constitution 3 and Constitution 1 versions both don't get to run any crit boost if you want Stamina Surge 3, you do get to run 3 more levels of attack boost for the lower Constitution trade-off. Neato. And this here is the easier to achieve version. It requires a few less rare decos and less gamma armor pieces. Overall though, we don't think that the damage trade-offs are worth it for Stamina Surge 3. Due to its weaker overall effectiveness compared to Stamina Surge 2 or Stamina Surge 1, it's just not really worth it because it's kind of overkill. But again, it's an option if you prefer it. Now the next best bow is the old Tareth water bow, KT's old water bow. This was of course the best water bow in the game until the Kiar water bow came out. And similar to the Tareth Thunder bow from the last video, the build hasn't really updated at all. The build on screen is the Constitution 3 version, and just like all the other Tareth bows, unlike the Kiar, there aren't really multiple versions. Running crit element and free element with the bow skills limits your build so greatly, there's really only one combination that reaches an optimal loadout. And just like all other Tareth bows, there is no way to fit Stamina Surge into this build without dumping very important damage skills. But them's the breaks. Due to this having a very low 75% affinity, on average it does deal lower damage than the Kjar bow. However, it is entirely possible to get lucky and crit more than 75% of the time in a run and potentially beat the Kjar bow. So it is theoretically possible to see this bow on some TA speedruns, just be prepared to reset a lot if you do this. As for the Cons 1 version of the set, we can get one Stamina Surge, at the low cost of a level of attack boost, crit boost, and 2 levels of Constitution, and using a voucher every hunt. Free Element 3 is really expensive, guys. Yeah, use the Kjar bow if you got it.
If you have neither, the best craftable bow is the Hunter's Proud bow. The sets for that are exactly the same as the Taroth Water set, except it has a lower base element, so just change one water deco into an expert deco and call it a day.
Next up are the dragon bows, so unsurprisingly Kjar is once again the best dragon bow. Here is what the Constitution 3 and Stamina Surge 2 set looks like for the Kjar Decay bow. Again, there are a lot of variants, so this is the highest defense one. Now, if you've been playing bow for a while, you probably remember that back in the day, Valhazak's bow, the Tareth Queen, as well as the Dragonbone bow all competed for the best set, just kind of going back and forth as metas changed. Well, that's dead. The Kjar Decay bow is the absolute best now. At 485.8 effective roll with this 2 Stamina Surge build, as well as 41.85 effective elements, this just straight up outdamages every other dragon bow in existence at the moment. On top of that, it's the most flexible dragon bow in the game. It has the ability to fit every different level of Stamina Surge you might want on the build, as well as have the option to switch out other skills if you don't want to run as much damage but want some utility like health boost. Now this variation here has lower defense and is technically a bit easier to achieve. It also gets Bombardier too if you ever decide to use bombs, which I'm not sure if you ever will because bow combos will just out DPS bombs anyway. But you know, it's a thing. Both of these builds run Crit Boost 3, but if you really want Stamina Surge 3, it only costs you 1 Crit Boost deco with this build. Now that only costs you roughly 1 damage per arrow at max charge level, so maybe it's worth it, but again we do think it's kind of overkill. But it's an option.
If you want more damage per shot, there are also Surge 1 variants of these sets. They gain Attack Boost 4 in exchange for dropping the Surge 1 and losing a Dragon Attack. That last level of Dragon Attack only gives you 10 Dragon Attack, which oftentimes just gets rounded off anyway. We only run it in Surge 2-3 versions because it's literally free with the arms. Here's a slightly easier to achieve version of the set. Emphasis on slightly. You could change out the Crit Boost deco for Surge 2, but the Attack Boost 4 isn't better than Crit Boost, so you would end up with a worse set than the previous ones. Now if you want to maintain Attack Boost 4, Crit Boost 3, Dragon Attack 3, and Surge 2, that's what the Cons 1 sets are for. Not much else to say besides that. You get everything you need for the cost of 1 voucher.
Very nice, Sue. And here is a slightly easier to achieve version of that build. Again, emphasis on slightly. It replaces the Tio Gamma helm with a Gala head, which is technically easier to get because you didn't have to fight an Arc-Tempered monster to get it, we guess. On either of these, you can trade out a Stamina Surge deco for a Crit Boost deco if you'd like. We still think the Stamina Surge 3 is overkill, but it's not very expensive at least. And compared to the Constitution 3 version of the Stamina Surge 3 sets for the Kjar Decay bow, you do gain Attack Boost 4, so it's a little more damage per arrow. We do want to stress here, the only reason we're even talking about Crit Boost or Attack Boost 4 here is because we've already maxed out our element and our affinity. Bow is the most elemental damage focused weapon in the game next to elemental ammo on bowguns. Your elemental attack plus crit element plus maxing your affinity is your first priority, much more important than getting more raw damage through things like crit boost or attack boost. These two skills only affect the raw portions of your damage, while on the other hand, affinity affects both the elemental and the raw damage due to crit element being present, and elemental attack is just simply much higher return on investment for damage per point spent in your build, at least until you hit the cap for elemental damage for your particular bow, in this case 3. Now, as for the second best dragon bow, that's where it starts getting confusing.
That's a long enough topic that we're going to do a separate video explaining it. It'll cover some things about damage and matchup comparisons, as well as explaining some things that'll be very important for bow when Iceborne comes out. While the bow changes are tentative in beta, they heavily suggest that we're going to have to take a look at how elements interact with bow in the future.
So we'll be talking about all of that in the next video. Otherwise, that's all we got for you on this video, guys. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed the builds, or you learned something new, or you have any questions, be sure to like the video and let us know in the comment below what your question is. We do try our best to read all the comments we can. As always, a huge thank you to Honey over at honeyhunterworld.com for creating and maintaining the tools we use to make our sets. And a gigantic thank you to Alessia. She is one of the moderators and speedrunners over at our Discord server. She provided the background footage for this entire video. Link to her channel in the top right and the description. Be sure to check her out if you really want to see what optimal bow play looks like. And if you'd like to find some like-minded hunters to hunt with, or come chat about bow, or just come chat in general, be sure to check out our Discord server, the Mathalos Nest. We also do have a Twitter where we post updates about videos as well as just other things that interest us. And be sure to check out Tuna on Twitch, where he does stream Monster Hunter World and a bunch of different games almost every single day. And of course, if you'd like to help support us directly with creating these highly researched videos for you guys, be sure to check out our Patreon. And an especially big thank you to MC Persona, Foray, Yoshi Cho, David Sternberg, XCLK07, Haika, Milky Powder, David Zhu Sinclair, Warren Kios, Hensatsuken, Wedmanticore, Dr. Awesome Farts, Litha Bowley, Bram Orsel, Anti-Spartan, Lightweight, PB Livingston, Jordan Petit, Skylar Yang, Checkleman, Lupin, Mongus, Kumiko, Triple Agent, Alan O'Dom, Baguette, Zimv, Billy Barthol, Magister Obscura, Jamie, and every single one of you who supports us on Patreon. Seriously, without you guys, it would not be financially feasible for us to make the styles of videos that we do. Heavily research content-dense videos are not the best way to do YouTube, and you guys help save us from having to do clickbait-style videos. We are looking to grow and of course make this our full-time jobs, and your support on Patreon really does mean the world to us. So thank you again. Now, I do have a Jinx's Musing coming out talking about the other Dragon Bow builds, as well as what the tentative Iceborne beta changes to bow potentially mean for bow builds in the future. So be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you'd like to know as soon as that video comes out. Happy hunting, hunters. We'll see you guys on the next one.